Welcome to virtual Japan as we are here today for round number 6.
Oh, Pearson gets into the 95 of Folks. Here comes the caution.
Flag is dropped here at Daytona and away go for the first time. Nicholas Porcel, Sean.
Looks like most get through unscathed. Look at that, there's Reed Gibson. A big move at the inside line of Doms, possibly a little bit of contact.
Now as we've got 3-wide action going through turns 1 and 2.
And they're underway. Eric Hahn takes a nice jump. Wilson hasn't let him go very far.
Go out here for circuit spar Frankenstein. Alex Johnson's off to a brilliant start there.
Just how oddly shaped this one is. We saw in the background Eric Hahn go for a bit of a swing, and he's gone and he's over.
New stuff. Cody Graham's the one-on-one up into second place. Alex Johnson 6/10 lead at the moment.
They're dicey up front. There's Andrew Kessel, Justin Sang.
They are ready to go. The lights are out and away we go for the very first time here at Okayama International Circuit. Finley Fitzsimmons.
Good evening, race fans, and welcome back. This is the J2ICS Endurance Series, sponsored by Designers Home Gallery. It is the crown jewel, the big event of this season, where drivers are going to be running for 2 hours straight. As always, I'm your host with the Team Goon Squad Broadcasting, James East, 1080p, 60 frames a second, as we get ready to put drivers out on track here tonight. As always, get ready to embark on a design journey like never before with Designers Home Gallery, your premier destination for all things flooring. We're excited to announce the sponsorship of the J2ICS Endurance Series, where innovation meets endurance on every stretch. Just like your curated collections, this season promises to push boundaries, combining style with resilience. Join us as we champion design excellence and fuel the endurance of racing one lap at a time. Check them out, www.nouglyfloors.com. Let us know where you're from, who you're cheering on. Drivers will frequently have the broadcast pulled up on a separate monitor or device, and if they don't, they just about always go back and watch this thing over again. As we're waiting for a few more drivers to finish their qualifying lap, I think AJ is going to be the last driver out on course number 45. We've had 23 entries tonight. 22 have put down a qualifying time. Not sure if Remote Crawdad piloting the 606 Porsche is going to be making his way out onto the circuit here tonight at Spa, so could have a pretty busy field here, as it looks like qualifying is going to come to a close, and then we'll get ready to send them out for the Crown Jewel event. Looks like we're still waiting for the drivers to make their way out onto the grid here tonight. A long time to get around the circuit here at Spa. I think that's what's resulting in a little bit longer delay than what we've used to. Now, in the Sprint Series last week, running the Super Formula Light machines, we saw a little bit of rain. I don't think that's going to be an issue with the GTE cars. I don't believe it's added to iRacing just quite yet. So thankfully for the drivers, looking like a clear and warm forecast here. And it's going to be interesting to see how the forecast plays a role with the tire wear. Let's run through the grid. On pole, Dickinson in the top spot, the defending champ, Joshua Spears starting second. Urko, a fan favorite, a bit of a surprise, qualifying third here tonight. Bozak starting fourth, Simply Steve starting fifth. We've got Nodovan starting sixth, Spook Dub starting seventh, Prince Adam, the floor man himself, starting eighth, Bob Nova starting ninth, Cat Daddy starting 10th. We've got Sector starting 11th, Miller Lite starting 12th, Psychoed on back, Spring Flower starting 13th, Long Island Nerd starts 14th, Paper Bag starting 15th, Garlic Dog starting 16th, Bar South starts 17th, AJ starting 18th, Biker Pilot starting 19th, Broccoli Motorsport starts 20th, Yomega starting 21st, Book starting 22nd, and Remote Crawdad will round out the 23-car grid here today. Drivers getting lined up behind that iRacing safety car. Looks like everybody except for Bar South and Remote Crawdad have made the grid. There's Bar South making his way in the number 75. Remote Crawdad does not appear to be making the start. Now it's going to be a short sighting lap for our GTE drivers before we kick off this 2-hour main event. Close in on Dickinson and Spears. They're going to be on the front row here. Urko and Bozak, your second row. Simply Steve and Nodovan, the third row. A lot of fast drivers here in the top 5. The iRacing safety car makes its way down pit road. Oh, and an inopportune blink there. As we go green flag racing at Spa. Dickinson, a good launch with Spears staying right there with them. Let's see, does the field get through without any major issues? So far, so good. As it looks like we're going to break down single file, heading up into La Rouge. Dickinson a quarter of a second up over Spears now. Been a lot of murmuring in the paddock. Drivers trying some different setups. Donovan in the 128 currently running 5th. Has been running a low to no downforce setup for a large portion of this season. And that is kind of putting a little bit of stress on some of the other drivers, trying to force them into a similar situation. We got something going on. Joshua Spears is falling back to 5th. Looks like Springflower, no, it's going to be Bob Nova falls back to 13th. Spook Does was also involved in some sort of incident, so we're going to try and get the replay queued up here, starting with Bob Nova, the number 605. Missed it on the brakes, bounces off the wall. Takes the alternative line there. Now I wonder what happened to Spook. Looks like it's going to be a separate incident for number 58, who's going to fall all the way back to 22nd. So I think Spook might have got, well, a little bit spooked there. Upset the car, sent it sliding around. Thankfully, doesn't look like he had any sort of damage on the car, and he'll keep things going. Nodovan's able to gain 2 spots early on here. So now the top 3 is Dickinson, Urko, Bozak, with Nodovan and Spears rounding out the top 5. Spears has Simply Steve piloting the number 23 Ferrari right in tow. And I also see Prince Adam, the 777, having a good start here as well. He's been able to grab 1 spot, working his way up a position early on. Spears and Steve gonna go side by side here. Spears the green and black 84, Simply Steve, the murdered out Ferrari, the number 23. Steve's gonna try and stay tucked in the draft here behind Spears. About a second up from them is Nodovan, Bozak, and Urko. We're going to go side by side for second. Bozak, the 906, trying the long way around. Going to set him up for the next left-hander. Urko giving a relatively decent amount of space there. And now Urko is going to lose 2 spots in one go. There goes Nodovan, the 128, following his teammate Bozak. And look at that, Joshua Spears been able to interject himself in the party. So the top 3 continues to change. with Dickinson still out front, 3 seconds up. We've got Nick Schrollman join us in the spectator area. He's cheering on that fan favorite, Urko in the 33 machine. Urko's tucked in nice and tidy behind Spears here. Looks like Simply Steve, the 23 machine, starting to reel in the gap, as well as Prince Adam lags behind in 7th. You've got Sector, Spring Flower, and Cat Daddy rounding out the top 10 here. Now, I think it's interesting to point out, Dickinson, your race leader, absolutely loathes any sort of fuel saving, but as I say that, he's had a mistake. A huge moment in the final chicane. Somebody else just went off track. That was Urko, the 33. Is going to come down pit road. What happened to Dickinson? He was your race leader. Just loses it all and is lonesome. Now I want to pan back to Urko. A very interesting call to come down pit road early on here. So now Bozak will be your race leader. Nodovan up into 2nd. Joshua Spears up into 3rd. Dickinson is going to have an uphill battle here tonight. The number 1, the defending champ, is all the way back in 11th. Paying a little bit further back, we have racing all across the circuit. Long Island Nerd and Biker Pilot having a showdown for 14th. Nodovan trying to keep the pressure on Bozak, your race leader. I also say I believe it's going to be panning up a little bit. Yes, Sector and Prince Adam starting to close the gap in what is now the battle for a top 5. Urko gets back out on track. He spent 33 seconds in his pit stall. Oh, and another incident. This time it's Yo Mega, the 101 Ferrari. Oh, you can tell he's sliding around a little bit there. Just a little bit too much slip angle. Around he goes. Thankfully, nobody else involved. So if you would have asked me in the opening of 5 minutes, it looked like Dickinson was going to run away with it here tonight. Now we have fans asking, did Urko get a black flag? I don't think so. He spent 33 seconds in his pit stall, so maybe he's trying something pretty wild on strategy. We've seen Urko make some interesting decisions in races past. But maybe he knows something we don't. He'd let us know before the show tonight that this could definitely be a race that came down to fuel mileage and tire savings. That's what we were commenting on. Sean Dickinson, the number 1, absolutely loathes any sort of fuel saving. And unfortunately, he put himself in a situation where that's not even an option anymore. Dickinson's got to hammer down here as he is 8.4 seconds back from your race leader, Bozak. Sector trying to get a good charge here against Prince Adam. Can't quite get the straightaway speed he's looking for out of the 95. Adam holding on to the 5th place spot by about 0.3 of a second. And there's Dickinson. He's going to be elbows out here. There's Miller Lite, the number 9, with Dickinson squeezing up the inside. And we had another incident reported. It showed Urko involved in a crash. I didn't see it. I wonder, ladies and gentlemen, did Urko... tiptoes around, no incident reported. I wonder if Urko went out with his qualifying set. That's the only thing I could think of, is if he didn't swap over to race trim. before the start of this crown jewel? If so, I think Urko's might be over. It's going to be tough to make a qualifying set work for 2 hours straight. Up front, it's Bozak and Donovan, the two teammates separated by a little shy of a half second here. They built up about a 1.3 second gap over Joshua Spears. Still a fairly bunched up field here in the Crown Jewel event. Right now, what you're going to see over the course of the fuel run is Bozak and Donovan trying to work together to build up a gap over the rest of the field. Book, the 056 Ford, our only Ford out on track, is going to come down pit road. It showed a crash, but that could very well just be the pit lane sensor. Sometimes here at Spa, it says drivers are crashing when they're just trying to come down pit road. No, that was almost a crash. So very interesting to see some unique strategy calls as far as pit road. And Urko still triggering the broadcast crash report. I'm not entirely sure what's happening there. Garlic Dog, Bob Nova side by side for 16th. Oh, a bit of a swap there for Garlic. He's able to hold on to it. You also have Paper Bag, and that's going to be AJ running side by side. Paper Bag pushed a little bit wide there. AJ able to scoot up alongside him. You can see Bar South in the background trying to lend his support to Paper Bag. So it seems to me like the meat grinders from about 10th place back here at Spa. As Bozak and Donovan continue to charge out front. Right now on screen, it is 3 drivers jockeying for 12th. Paper Bag, Bar South, and Long Island Nerd. Looks like Biker Pilot's starting to close the gap in that 42 machine as well. Who just missed the mark? That was Bar South. Overcooked it on the brakes. It's going to fall back to 15th. He's going to have to watch that battle for 12th a little bit further back. Spring Flower, the number 93 machine. I've seen Flower race open wheels time and time again. Good to see him out here at the J2ICS Endurance Series. And he's got the number 1 plate looming behind. Sean Dickinson is holding the throttle down here. Side by side with Spring Flower. Dickinson's going to make it happen here under the brakes. As Dickinson moves back up into the 7th position. Now I want to check back in on Bozak and Donovan, the two teammates first and second. They built up about a 2.5 second margin over Spears. And it seems like they're running, almost identical lap times here. Both clicking off 2 minute 14 second laps. Spears trying to close the gap. He's in the green and black 84 Porsche. But Spears also kind of pushing his own air here. Won't be able to fuel save like Bozak or Nodovan. There's Simply Steve sitting in the 4th place spot, the number 23 machine. Steve's about 2.5 seconds back from Spears, about 1.5 seconds up from Prince Adam. Adam having a great race there in the 777. Has gained 3 spots early on in this feature event. Right now, a hard charger on the circuit. It's going to be AJ, the number 45 machine. He's up 7 spots, looking to make it 8 here against Cat Daddy. We had an off-track reported with paper bag, but it looks like he's going to keep it pointed in relatively the right direction. We got Lucas join us in the spectator area. Always good seeing him. And he pointed out Simply Steve, a newcomer to the Ferrari camp at the number 23. Talking to Steve in practice, he wasn't super sold on how comfortable he was in the machine. But he's running very, very well here. Bozak with a lengthy off-track alert. Driver's pushing a little bit wide there. Seems to light up our software each and every lap. Now drivers have to be careful of the off-tracks before they start getting too many incident points and maybe some drive-through penalties. They get their first drive-through penalty at the 20 incident point mark, and after that, every 8 incidents. And it's a 3-car battle for 5th. Prince Adam, Sector, Dickinson, separated by less than a second between the 3 of them. You also have Cat Daddy and AJ. They're going to go side by side for 10th. Looks like AJ is going to take over that 10th place spot. Let's see now. Dickinson working the draft behind Prince Adam and Sector. Can he get a good run here? And continue that charge up back to the front. Looks like Dickinson might not have the top end out of his Porsche compared to some of the other drivers. Might have opted for a car that handles a little bit better through the twisty bits. As he is all over the back of Sector here. Here we go, Dickinson once again right on the back bumper of Sector. Looking for a clean way through. He wants to be aggressive, but he also doesn't want to put himself in a tougher spot that he's going to have to overcome. Now, I think Sector knows that number 1 is right behind him as he is picking up the pace a little bit, really putting the pressure on Prince Adam here. Are we going to see any big moves under braking? Dickinson all over the back of Sector. He pulls out alongside him here. That could be the pass for 6th. Hard on the binders for Dickinson. Gets a little bit loose there. Sector might get a better run as we go side by side for 6th. This is going to give a little bit of a reprieve here to Prince Adam. Pulls a 3/4 of a second advantage as Sector and Dickinson still side by side behind. Springflower number 93 machine. He's happy of that large hole in the air that Dickinson and Sector were putting off. Now Dickinson does make the move up into 6th. But I think Sector was showing his car has a little bit more speed on the top end. Now we're about to find out rather quickly. Does Sector try and draft past Dickinson and take back over 6th? Or is he going to be happy following along with the number 1 machine for a little bit? And another report, Cat Daddy involved in some sort of misfortune for the 78. Does he get some help? Oh, I couldn't quite tell who that was involved with. Maybe Long Island Nerd, I think. Not sure if there was contact there or just a little bit of bad luck. Maybe a little bit of netcode between the two. Prince Adam doing a great race so far, having a great race so far as he tries to fend off that number 1 of Sean Dickinson. On board the number 1, he's driving the wheels off that machine. This is where Dickinson made a pass the lap prior, going into the final chicane against Sector. Looks like he's going to try it again, deep on the brakes, side by side with Prince Adam. Adam able to defend. I saw a little bit of a swap there from the rear end of Dickinson. That's going to put him back within striking distance of Sector and Spring Flower, running 7th and 8th here. Up front, it's still Bozak and Nodovan 1st and 2nd as they have a healthy gap over the rest of the field. We're watching a battle that's been going on for a while for 5th. Dickinson pulls out alongside Prince Adam. It's going to be a draft pass. That's going to allow Sector and maybe Spring Flower to close the gap. Dickinson very cleanly takes over a top 5 once more. And Sector on the brakes has really closed the gap up here to Prince Adam. Spring Flower piloting the number 93 Porsche has been mighty quick through the tighter sections of Raceway. As the battle cools off a little bit there, let's check in your race leader, Bozak. The 906, he's got his teammate Nodovan tucked in behind. I believe it was Lamar. We saw Nodovan do some pretty cool stuff with fuel saving. So I would expect more of the same here tonight. Now it's worth pointing out, Bozak sitting about 9.8 seconds up over the driver who qualified on pole, Sean Dickinson. But your top two of Bozak and Nodovan not having to work as hard for quick lap times. They can use that draft against each other or off of each other. And that's going to help them continuously improve and keep the lap times low, and also helps with fuel saving. Biker Pilot Paper Bag battling for 11th. Dickinson sitting in 5th, just clicked off the fastest lap of the race. A 2:13.74. So just a hair faster than Bozak's fastest lap time. Miller Lite, the number 9, he's going to come down pit road for a green flag stop. Now, it's interesting, Biker Pilot not quite able to get the run against Paper Bag that I was expecting, even though he was squarely in the draft with that number 8 machine. And we also had to report Yo Mega made a pass against Broccoli Motorsports. That is going to be the move for 16th. And Yo Mega sends it the wrong way around, facing the wrong direction here. As I believe that was Bob Nova made his way around safely. So you're on board with Yo Mega. And this is a precarious place to be looking here. Oh, drivers trying to take evasive maneuvers. That was Bob Nova wisely getting around. Using a little bit of the grass there, but living to drive another day. Prince Adam now once again under fire from Sector, the battle for 6th. Hard Charger out on course is still AJ. Number 45 up 9 positions, up into the 9th place spot. Prince Adam with Sector hot in his heels. Is Sector going to try and make something happen with the draft? They stay lined up nose to tail. Adam trying to cover the inside line of the track, getting back into position. Doesn't look like Sector wants to hop out of line here, willing to follow Adam a little while longer and see if they can catch up to Dickinson, who's holding on to the 5th place position. A little bit further back, Paper Bag and Biker Pilot, they're going to go side by side for 11th. Paper Bag is going to hold on to the 11th place position with Biker Pilot, and now Bar South right behind. So Biker Pilot under fire from that number 75 of Bar South. So I guess there's a couple of questions coming to the forefront. The fans are noticing that Simply Steve running 4th is doing fuel saving to hit his marks. Dickinson, the number 1, a fan very aptly put, refuses the fuel save. Absolutely despises it, so he's going to hammer down and try and make this happen all on the throttle. I'm interested to see how the different strategies are going to pan out. Can Dickinson, with the raw pace, overcome a possible fuel strategy? Bar South had a little bit of an off-track excursion. Hard on the brakes for Bar South. That is going to chew up a little bit of tire and take a whole lot of time away from them. There's Simply Steve, the number 23 machine. He's got Dickinson closing him behind. So we believe Simply Steve trying to hit fuel numbers here. Have a good one, Lucas. Always appreciate you. Another incident reported. Yo Mega having a tough time in the 101. It's going to be through the final chicane. Looks like he's going to do a little bit of a J-turn. I thought he was going to come down pit road, but not the case. Oh, a big blink there. As here's the battle for 4th, Simply Steve and Sean Dickinson. Still have all 22 drivers that started today's main event still out on track. The Crown Jewel, sponsored by Designers Home Gallery, the J2ICS Endurance Series. So you've got this battle going on for fourth, Simply Steve and Sean Dickinson. You also have Prince Adam and Sector 6th and 7th. Just shy of 3 seconds back from this battle, having their own back and forth. So Steve has the pace here, holding on to fourth. I would be shocked if Dickinson was on some sort of fuel strategy. That would be very off character for the number one machine. Here's Sector pulling up alongside Prince Adam for sixth. You can see Springflower in the background watching this fight unfold. And around goes Prince Adam. Sector also not getting through unscathed. That is allowing Springflower by. So let's get the replay queued up here. Slowing it down. Was there contact? Or was there net code? Both drivers going to go off track from that one, we're afraid. Doesn't look like the damage is too bad. There goes Springflower, able to slide his way through. Sector takes a tow back down to pit road. So I didn't see any terrible damage there. So I believe Sector will be the first driver taking a tow down pit road here during the Crown Jewel. We've had quite a few incidents, but that was the first magic button we've seen pressed. Simply Steve and Dickinson still battling here for the fourth place spot. We all thought Dickinson was going to get around Steve pretty quickly, but it looks like Simply Steve willing to quick it up just a little bit. But this is also slowing the pace down for our fourth and fifth place drivers. We're going to wait for the lap times to update. So it was a 2:15 for the pair of them. They are running 1 second slower than the top two drivers, the teammates Bozak and Nodovan. Dickinson and Steve side by side here. Dickinson taking over the fourth place spot nice and clean. So now we're going to see, can Dickinson drop the pace here and try and reel in? He's at almost a 12-second disadvantage from the top two drivers. No, we haven't seen the first round of pit stops officially yet. We've had a couple drivers come down pit road. Bob Nova on lap 7, Miller Lite on lap 10, and Spook Dubs on lap 6. But we believe for the most part, everybody's running out. It seems like a large portion of the field is fuel saving, while some drivers such as Dickinson are hammered down and just trying to make something happen on raw pace and ability. Bozak and Nodovan stay out for another lap here. Oh, a quick lap for Bozak as well at 2:13.9. Matched by Nodovan in second. So the top two drivers, we thought they might be fuel saving, but they seem to be doing a great job keeping the lap times quick. But look at that, Sean Dickinson with a 2:13.58. Once again sets the fastest lap of the race. It seems most drivers in the top five carrying quite a comfortable pace here. Now that their sector in front of Bozak and Nodovan, the number 95 is going to be trying to stay on the lead lap after he took a tow the lap prior. So still waiting to see some green flag stops here. Brockley Motorsports, he has some sort of problems in the number 66. He lost his spot to both Miller Lite and to Urko. And I see another battle going on here. It's going to be Paper Bag and Biker Pilot battling for the top 10 position. Now I'm curious as well how many off-tracks drivers are accumulating in this one. Again, it's a penalty after you receive 20 incident points, another penalty every 8 incident points after that. Spa is not a track where it's difficult to really rack up some off-track awards as the run progresses. Here's Urko and Miller Lite battling for 16th. Urko has had quite a roller coaster of a night. He qualified third, is now back into 17th. We had big money right on that 33 machine. Oh, is this going to be tight there, side by side with Miller Lite? Miller able to hold on to it. There's Brockley Motorsports and Spook Dubs in frame behind. So we know Urko obviously has the pace. He qualified third. But you have to wonder, what's the strategy at this point for Urko to try and save a bit of an evening and minimize the points bleed? Oh, and that's not going to be it. Urko too hard on the brakes, locks it up. I think I saw Brockley Motorsports shooting off track as well. He'll lose his spot to Spook Dubs. So we're 1/4 of the way through tonight's main event, and it has been a battle of attrition so far. Paper Bag and Biker Pilot still going at it here, the battle for 10th. Now, I'm not sure. I saw a report here of Urko and Brockley involved in a crash. I wonder if this is from the lap prior and we're just seeing it again, maybe. Yeah, that was from the incident prior. And let's see, up there's Brockley in the background. So the broadcast software picking up that one on once again from the lap prior to that incident, the final chicane. Paper Bag and Biker Pilot still within 0.3 of a second. Now Bozak, this is interesting. Your race leaders pulled about a 3/4 of a second advantage over Nodovan. I'm also seeing looks like Miller Lite once again under fire from Urko. Now this is the lap prior. Urko overcooked it on the brakes. Let's see if he can try and get around that number 9 machine a little bit more cleanly this time by. And you can also see Spook Dubs number 58 right behind, hoping for a mistake from these two. Urko looking for any opening he can. Now, Bozak just set his fastest lap of the race, a 2:13.5. Nodovan, his teammate, set the fastest lap of the race with a 2:13.13. So the pace is starting to quicken up here a little bit. Urko has made his way around Miller Lite. Now Spook Dubs is going to give it his time to shine. So Urko looking for a little bit of redemption here. Oh, a big bobble there from Miller Lite. That allows Spook Dubs to make his way around. And I see Broccoli Motorsports having a bit of a shimmy back there as well. Now, Bozak and Nodovan have built up an 11.5-second gap on the other podium contender, Joshua Spears. Spears has Dickinson starting to close in behind. Dickinson right around that 1 second mark back from Spears. This could be the battle for third starting to shape up here. Dickinson with now within 0.6 of a second has a big run against Spears. Won't be quite within striking distance of the chicane this go around, but is doing his best to diligently close that gap up. Now it's the lap times update. Third place back, still running an honest 6/7 slower than the top two drivers, so still losing time here as the run progresses. When is Dickinson going to hop out of line here? Dickinson, not one of those drivers content following along and saving fuel. He is always on the throttle, always charging forward. Just over a half second separating the third and fourth place drivers. Both pushed a little bit wide there. And again, everybody's got to be very mindful of the off track, especially in this Crown Jewel format. A 2-hour straight race. And there will be no safety cars, no brakes. Just running strong start to finish, as it looks like the sun's starting to go down a little bit here at Spa. Spears stay on the throttle, not letting Dickinson get too close to strike. I also see, I think it's Biker Pilot, and it's going to be Paper Bag are closing the gap here within the top 10. Paper Bag holding on to 10th. He's up 5 spots. Biker Pilot in 11th. He's up 8 so far. But as we get closer and closer to the halfway mark, the tires will be starting to fade for these drivers, and that is when mistakes can happen. Long Islander sitting 9th. He just set his fastest lap of the race, breaking into the 2-minute 14-second times. Let's pan back to Spears. Dickinson has a good run. Pulling up alongside that number 84 machine. Side by side we go. Ooh, Spears is going to get losing almost 2/10 there to Dickinson. Dickinson making a very clean pass for third. Now Dickinson qualified on pole, but the top two have been continuing to grow the gap up front. They are 13.3 seconds up over that number 1 machine. Now we are still waiting to see what the green flag cycle, the pit cycle, is going to look like for these drivers. Everybody inside the top 14 has yet to come down pit road here tonight. Dickinson has pulled about a second up over Spears. He is now within 13 seconds of the top 2 drivers, so he has good pace here. Springflower is going to be one of our first drivers down, just shy of the halfway mark for the pit window. The Springflower in pit road at number 93, Porsche. We pan back up to Bozak and Nodovan. Very methodically clicking off laps here. Both drivers consistently in the 2-minute 13s. Now Dickinson, his last time by, did click off his fastest lap of the race, a 2:13.18, so slightly faster than the top drivers ahead of him. But it's going to be very, very interesting to see how things happen with the pit cycle. Bozak and Donovan crossing the line here. Still in a very consistent group. 2-minute 13.5s for the pair of them. We wait for the lap timer to update for Dickinson sitting in third. A 2:13.71. So again, the top three very, very equally matched on pace here. Now Dickinson was able to shake off Spears, leaving that number 84 machine outside the draft. Speaking of draft, Biker Pilot still tucked in behind Paper Bag. Oh, a big moment there for Paper Bag. Let's see, can Biker Pilot capitalize on it? Pulls up alongside the number 8, Porsche versus Porsche. Oh, and wheel to wheel they go. Paper Bag muscles his way up the inside, but is Biker Pilot going to have a better run here, I wonder? Biker Pilot staying in the draft of Paper Bag. Has a run, but he seems to be content following behind here. Ooh, we're got something weird going on there. You don't see that every day. Oh, Lordy, what's happening here in the booth? Looks like connections are fine in the broadcast booth. So it looks like we've been able to work past it, but very, very odd moments there as cars are skipping, dancing, and bouncing around out on the track. Biker Pilot still within about a half second of Paper Bag. Seems very hesitant to really stick the nose in and try and force the issue here. But I've got to say, just shy of an hour in, and it's been great racing all night long here, the J2ICS Crown Jewel event. Now, I saw another crash reported. Omega, the 101, will be the first driver going down a lap here tonight. But still staying out on circuit and keeping that positive attitude that we're known for here at J2ICS. And still, Paperback and Biker Pilot, definitely the two closest drivers we have out on circuit here at Spa. Everybody else is kind of spread out a little bit. As the commentator's curse kind of comes into effect there, Biker Pilot pulls a little bit of a gap against Paper Bag after making that smooth transition. So Biker Pilot, even though he's now up into ninth, still not the hard charger. Even though he's up 10 positions, hard charger award still currently owned by AJ, that 45. Kind of a no man's land here, but he's up 11 spots. He's 5.6 seconds back from Prince Adam. About 2.4 seconds up from Long Island Nerd. Let's check back in on your race leaders. Bozak and Nodovan rocking and rolling up front, still in that 1:13 minute or 1 minute 13 second lap times. Let's see if they're still staying true to form here as they cross the line. Not only that, Nodovan, Bozak sets his fastest lap of the race, a 2:13.36. Nodovan in second sets the fastest lap of the race, a 2:13.13. So the top two drivers are moving here. Now, Long Islander, the 02 Porsche RSR, he's down pit road. So I would go on a limb here and say we are within the fuel window. Now, when are some of these top five drivers going to come down pit road, I wonder? Will drivers be double stinting the tires here this evening? Or have drivers such as Bozak and Nodovan built up enough of a gap? And the Corvette still cruising along here. Top two drivers, Bozak, Nodovan, and both piloting the Corvettes. Dickinson in third. He's our fastest Porsche. We've got Simply Steve in fifth. He's our lone Ferrari out on track. No, excuse me. Yo Mega, the 101, also piloting the Ferrari. And then you've got Book, the 056 machine, our one and only Ford driver out on the circuit. So we are 5 seconds away from the halfway mark, and you've got Biker Pilot, Paper Bag, Garlic Dog, Bar South, AJ, all down pit road. Looks like Broccoli Motorsports also coming down pit road. So a large chunk of the field coming down right at the halfway mark. But your top 7 drivers, oh no, here we go. Bozak and Donovan, they're going to come down pit road right at the, I don't think you can get much closer to the halfway mark within 15 seconds. Now let's see, does Dickinson, the number 1, come down pit road? Or is he going to stay out for another lap here? Dickinson, the number 1, he's down pit road. Joshua Spears, Simply Steve, also coming down. That just leaves Prince Adam and Cat Daddy, the only 2 drivers who have yet to pit here. Let's see if they follow the field. Adams down pit road. So that's just going to leave Cat Daddy out on track. It's Bozak still with a race lead. Donovan sitting in second. Now, I'm not sure how, but Donovan actually lost a little bit of time there on pit road as Bozak, his teammate, showing 2 seconds up. Cat Daddy stays out for another lap here, the number 78. So he will be our only driver who has yet to pit in this feature event. I'm not sure why we're getting these hiccups up here in the broadcast booth. That's a bit of a pain. So we are completely through the halfway mark of today's Crown Jewel event. It's Bozak, your race leader, Donovan in second. 20 seconds back is Dickinson in third, who has Joshua Spears, has closed the gap behind him. And you gotta love the sound of those Porsches ripping around here at Spa. So while we are at the halfway mark, we're going to let the camera run with Bozak up front. I'm going to go refill the water cup here in the broadcast booth. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more of the J2ICS Endurance Series Crown Jewel, sponsored by Designers Home Gallery. All right, as we get settled back in the booth here, a little less than 53 minutes left to go for this Crown Jewel event. Want to once again give a shout out and get ready to embark on a design journey like never before with Designers Home Gallery, your premier destination for all things flooring. We're excited to announce that the sponsorship of the J2ICS Endurance season, where innovation meets endurance on every stretch. Just like our curated collections, this season promises to push boundaries, combining style with resilience. Join us as we champion design excellence and fuel the endurance of racing, one lap at a time. If you're in need of flooring, please check out my friends over at www.nouglyfloors.com. It's still Bozak strongly out front with a 1.5 second margin over his teammate Nodovan. Dickinson holding on to third with Joshua Spears and Simply Steve rounding out the top five. Now I wonder, since we saw just about the entirety of the field box at the halfway mark tonight, does that mean that maybe fuel saving isn't as much of a concern as we thought it was going to be? The field pretty well and spread out at this point. I don't see a single driver on the circuit that is within 1 second of another competitor. We still have all 22 drivers who started this main event still out on circuit. Now, this is interesting. During that pit cycle, something must have happened to AJ, the 45 machine. He was in his pit stall for 1 minute and 1 second, so I wonder if he took tires while everybody else is double stinting here tonight. He was our hard charger, I believe, up 1 point, up 11 positions, now only up 4. And it's going to be Biker Pilot number 42, currently showing as the hard charger. Biker is up 7 spots, holding on to the 12th place position. Now, I did see a crash reported. Oh no, it's going to be Book. Had some sort of problem here. You can see the race leaders behind. That's Bozak and Nodovan. Book just loops it out all on his own. Now, thankfully for most of these drivers, most incidents we've seen here tonight have been solo incidents or very light impact collisions. So we have not had to force any of the cars into an early retirement here at Spa. Everyone is able to been staying out and keep on going. Bozak still charging up front, but his teammate Nodovan starting to close up behind. Nodovan has gotten within 3/4 of a second. A little bit of lap traffic up ahead for Bozak and Nodovan. So I don't think your top two drivers are going to be too stressed here. Now this is interesting. Bob Nova and Spook Dubs are back down pit road. Is this going to be a second green flag stop for the two? It looks like it is going to be for Bob Nova. Is Spook Dubs serving a penalty? No, he too is going to pit for the second time. Simply Steve running fifth, number 23, is starting to catch up to Joshua Spears here. This could be the battle for fourth, starting to get itself going. Let's see Steve closing the gap. He ran just about 3/4 of a second faster than Spears last time by. Oh, another little bit of a hiccup there. Steve closing the gap. He's within a half second, so we've still got some racing left to go here with 45 minutes left to go. Steve within 0.3 of a second, backs off slightly under the brakes here. We still have plenty of racing left to go. Steve within 1/4 of a second. He's on the back of the number 84 of Joshua Spears. Now Bozak and Nodovan still your race leaders, but we're fairly certain they're not going to battle too hard. As Steve loses the back end of the Ferrari, is going to hand quite a fistful of time to Spears, who did not shake under pressure there. Spears built up almost a 4-second gap. So Steve, unfortunately, might be relegated to a top 5 here. We've got less than 45 minutes left to go, but it takes so long to really get that momentum back up. Speaking of momentum, Bob Nova, the 605, challenging a paper bag for 11th. A half second separating the two here. Now Bob Nova was on a lap, or an outlap the lap prior after his second stop of the night. So definitely on a different strategy than the rest of the field. Bob takes a peek to the inside line of paper, has to back out of it to avoid any sort of contact between the two. Paper bag, Bob Nova. Still within 0.2 of a second here. Bob's looking for any opening he can against that number 8. But Paper bag doing a good job running the defensive, not leaving any opportunity here. Knowing that it's the responsibility of that 605 machine to make a clean overtake. Let's see, does Bob make something happen here under brakes? Pulls up alongside. He's going to go for it here, the battle for 11th. And Bob, nice and clean. Oh, I thought it was going to be clean. Getting a little bit spicy there as Bob bounces around. It looks like Paper bag showing up by 1/100th of a second as they still go side by side. So Bob will eventually get that pass complete. There's AJ in the number 45 machine watching this battle unfold. Oh, a bit of a mistake there for Bob. Struggles to put the power down. Now it's going to go back to Paper bag. Side by side we go. Paper bag backs out of a little bit to try and get a big run here. But these two have to be mindful. All of a sudden, AJ has closed the gap. And he is within a half second of this fierce battle for 11th. Oh, and Bob Nova cooks it in a little bit deep on the brakes there. Surely he's going to get a slowdown. And that is going to allow, I would imagine, both Paper bag and AJ a chance to get around. So there's Paper bag, but I'm not seeing too much of a slowdown from Bob there. Surely AJ was expecting it. So it's going to be Paper bag at 11th, Bob Nova 12th, AJ holding on to 13th. And we've got something going on up front. The two teammates have decided to do battle here. Nodovan, for the first time in a very long time here tonight, the 128 is going to take over the race lead. Bozak, who's led just about every lap, every minute, now showing in second, but he's not going to take it lying down. Fires back against his teammate Nodovan. And we have got a battle for the lead here tonight. Now Miller Lite, the number 9 machine, he's going to come down pit road for a second stop. So great racing everywhere we look here tonight. Thankful for the leaders to spice things up a little bit. Bozak and Nodovan, knowing they have a large, almost a 30-second gap over Joshua Spears, looking to do some battle. We just got a report Dickinson had some sort of problem in the number 1 machine that is going to have him pushed back to 4th. Spears is taken back over the final podium spot. Dickinson just loses on the brakes. Almost sound like the car stalled. So not sure if Dickinson missed the shift or what the issue might have been. Now, I would normally say I'm surprised to see the top 2 battling, especially as teammates, but with the healthy margin they've built up, I think they want to get some racing going on. They built up a 28-second gap over Spears, who now is in that final podium spot. Bozak takes back over the race lead from his teammate, Nodovan. Pushes a little bit wide there for Bozak. That's going to give Nodovan a big run, but he's not going to stick his nose in. As much fun as they're having battling for the race lead and a possible win here tonight. their priority is going to be bringing home a clean race car, a pair of race cars, I should say. Now, this is going to be interesting for the points as well. Coming into tonight, Joshua Spears was second in points. Eric Fox Urco was third in points. So there's going to be some moving around here in the point standings if this is how we wind out tonight. So we got a report. So Miss Spears letting us know that the interval time's difficult to see for drivers that have the light gray background. So we'll look into adjusting those settings here. Now, we had 2 more incidents reported. We had Broccoli Motorsports in the 66. Looks like it's going to be a solo incident. So no harm, no foul there. And then something happened to Bar South, the number 75. That resulted in a tow back down pit road. We're waiting to see what happened to Bar South. You know, if I had a bet, I saw a big off track, he pulled over and took a tow. I bet that was enough incident points for Bar South to hit a penalty limit. So unfortunately, Bar South will be the first driver retired from this Crown Jewel event. Just over 35 minutes left to go. Dickinson now sitting 5th as Simply Steve has moved his Ferrari up into the 4th place position. You can see Joshua Spears not too far ahead, about 1.1 seconds up over Simply Steve and Dickinson. So we may very well have a battle for 3rd shaping up by the time it's all said and done here tonight. Meanwhile, your race leaders Bozak and Donovan still just about 30 seconds up over the rest of the field here. So here we go, a 3-car battle for the final podium spot starting to shape up. You've got Spears, Simply Steve, and Dickinson, 3rd, 4th, and 5th. Less than a second between the 3 of them. Bozak and Donovan still out front. They're separated by a 1/4 second, remaining nose to tail. Hard Charger as it stands. Biker Pod, the number 42, is up 10 spots so far here tonight. Now, I know Simply Steve is pushing hard in that Ferrari. He wasn't super comfortable coming into tonight, but seems to be carrying fantastic pace. There's Steve up the inside line of Spears. Oh, a little bit too deep, though, for Steve. Dips a couple tires in the grass. Spears looks for an opportunity to get back around. This has stacked things up. Less than a half second now separating these 3 drivers. You've got Simply Steve, Spears, side by side. Spears going to take back over the third place spot. Steve back to fourth. Dickinson still sitting fifth, looking for an opening. So now Dickinson's going to try and get around Simply Steve if the opportunity presents itself. Simply Steve still all eyes forward on the back of that number 84. Steve, the lone Ferrari inside the top 15 and a sea of Porsches. But it's still the Corvettes with Bozak and Donovan first and second, a country mile up over the rest of the field. A big send there from Steve, locking it up on the brakes. Makes it happen though, sliding that 23 machine up into third, not too far ahead of them. Bouquet has come down pit road for what looks to be a second stop. It'll be interesting to see if Book has to do a drive-through or if he is indeed getting service for the second time. Donovan and Bozak side by side for the race lead. The two teammates having some fun with it. Now we got a report that Book served a drive-through penalty in the 056. So it rolls right on through pit road, gets back out onto the track. So as Donovan and Bozak run nose to tail, we pan back to Simply Steve, who still has Spears and Dickinson in very hot pursuit here. Another battle we see going on. Pretty heated. 14th through 17th. Paper Bag, Garlic Dog, Cat Daddy, Miller Lite, all in the fray here. Drivers are seeing the board. 30 minutes left to go here in the Crown Jewel event. We've seen races here at J2ICS, especially the Endurance Series, come down to the final hour, the final minute. Paperback getting a lot of pressure there from Garlic Dog, piling the 199. But meanwhile, Garlic Dog not getting much of a break as Miller Lite works his way around Cat Daddy. Cat Daddy, the 78, had a little bit of a bobble. Miller Lite able to capitalize on it. Our Chargers still Biker Pilot up 10 spots. As we go back to the battle for third, Simply Steve, Joshua Spears, Dickinson third, fourth, and fifth. Spa, a very tough track to get a breakaway when you're battling for position. And still, late into the race, drivers had to be mindful of those off-track excursions. Dickinson and Spears, I would imagine, are going to work together here to try and reel in and pass Simply Steve, who is doing everything he can to hold on to the third place spot. Meanwhile, up front, Donovan and Bozak still having fun with it. Kind of hinting at each other that they're going to start racing for the race lead, as they are mirroring each other in those beautiful machines. The Corvette's always looking sharp amongst those two. Can't look away from that battle for third. Spears and Dickinson lined up nose to tail, bumper to bumper. Simply Steve still holding about a half-second of margin, though. So the Ferrari set up well for the long stretches here at Spa. And, oh, Steve's got to be mindful of those off-tracks late into this race, though. He's trying to carry as much corner speed as he possibly can to keep the two Porsches at bay. Sector, he's down pit road for a second stop in the 95. Could be a drive-through, could be finding himself short on fuel. Broccoli Motorsports involved in a solo incident here. We get confirmation Sector is in his pit stall. Looks like Broccoli's just going to be a solo incident. Cooks it on the brakes. Pushes a little bit wide, and that's enough to trigger the crash report in our software. And here's the battle for third. 30 seconds back from your top two drivers. 25 minutes left to go. Simply Steve doing everything he can, so he comes out onto the stretch about a half-second up over Spears and Dickinson. Looks like the two drivers, fourth and fifth, held back just a little bit to try and get a better run. They gain about 0.2 of a second in the long stretch over Simply Steve, but then once they get back in the twisty bits, Steve is able to hold on to it. And this is where the number 23 machine has been building up that time advantage. But again, I've seen him, pushes a little bit wide there. He's going to lose time. But we've seen Simply Steve push wide off track several times. And now he's got the two Porsches within striking distance behind that Ferrari. Long Island Nerd, he has an off-track excursion. Staying in the throttle, get it back out on track. Steve has Spears and Dickinson less than 0.3 of a second, separating the three drivers for third. What a cool shot as they go screaming by. Now here at Spa, drivers hitting speeds in excess of 170 miles an hour. But Steve's going to hold on to that third place spot a little while longer here. Spring Flower, he's going to come down pit road a second time. Again, we'll see if this is a drive-through or a splash and go on fuel for the 93 machine. Spring Flower up 7 spots from where he qualified. But again, Hard Charger still Biker Pod up those 10 spots. Spring is down into his pit stall, so he is getting a little bit of fuel, it looks like. That's going to put Prince Adam back up into 6th. As Spring rolls back out on track, Long Islander also coming down pit road. I'm going to take a guess here, and after that big off track we saw from the 0-2, I think this is the point of the race where we're going to see some drivers getting hit with those penalties. Bob Nova with an off track excursion through the final chicane. Simply Steve has built up about a 3/4 of a second advantage over Spears and Dickinson behind. Donovan still up front after he made that pass on Bozak. I don't think Bozak, though, is going to let the 128 have it too easy, as the two teammates have been just about identical on pace start to finish here tonight. Simply Steve hold on to third. He's built up about 8/10 over the 2 Porsches in tow. Paper Bag has an off-track excursion, the number 8, off into the kitty litter. Now, the big saving grace for a lot of these drivers, even if they're involved in these incidents, and really even if they have to serve a drive-through penalty, if the car is still drivable, you still have a race ahead of you. As it looks to be 20 drivers still out on track here of the 22 that entered. Dickinson makes that pass against Spears nice and clean, so we're going to see if the number 1 has anything for Simply Steve, who's done a great job holding on to that final podium position. It looks like Dickinson having a little bit better luck charging behind Simply Steve. Has whittled it away to only having Steve with a 0.3 of a second advantage. So here we go. Dickinson has a pretty good run here against the 23, and while that's going on, Bozak is going to fire back against his teammate Donovan. Oh, side by side we go for the race lead. Bozak takes over the lead here. The team owner has to be white-knuckling the monitor on this one and watching those two cars with a comfortable 35-second advantage still A bit of a risk there involved every time he goes side by side. But racers race, as they say. Simply Steve looks like he's going to be able to hold on to third here. That gives you an idea of the time advantage that Donovan and Bozak have. As Simply Steve just now leading the field, the rest of the field into the chicane. So as it stands, and I don't know for how long, it's Donovan your race leader, Bozak second, Simply Steve in the final podium position, with Dickinson and Joshua Spears rounding out the top 5. And Dickinson all over the back of Simply Steve. We've seen some great action between these two in seasons past and races past, I should say. I think Dickinson's trying to get himself set up for a big move here. We've seen it under braking into the final chicane several times here tonight. Is this going to be another case? Looks like Spears has fallen back ever so slightly. Dickinson's not going to make a move for it this time. Spears closes the gap under the brakes. And once again, Donovan and Bozak going to go side by side for the race lead here. It's mirror images of the two Corvettes. And what a great display of driving prowess between these two. Reminiscence of the Blue Angels a little bit, with the liveries and the wing-to-wing driving, if you will. Simply Steve out of LaRouge. Dickinson 6/10 back. So Dickinson's able to close the distance with the draft, but I think Simply Steve does such a good job in the first pair of corners, kind of stacking them up a little bit, knowing that the Ferrari is quick to reach top speed, or at least his Ferrari tonight. Tough to draw a comparison when there's only 2 Ferraris out on track. Not a lot of data points to go off of here. Dickinson hungry to try and make a pass against Steve. Steve doing a great job running defensive. Simply Steve still holding on to the third place spot. Dickinson and Spears in hot pursuit. Donovan, your race leader, is doing whatever he can to fend off his teammate Bozak, having a fantastic time. Simply Steve still holding a 4/10 of a second gap. Dickinson closes the distance rather quickly, gaining about just over 2/10 of a second. But a big mistake from Simply Steve is going to open the door for Dickinson. Dickinson trying the long way around. Steve might be set up the inside line. No, Simply Steve's going to lose 2 spots in one go. Watching the Porsches make their way around. Simply Steve goes from a podium spot to 5th, and less than 13 minutes left to go to try and overcome this. So Dickinson, quite a night. Qualified on pole, was quickly almost at the very back of the field. Lowe's fuel saving, but has been holding the throttle down. Has worked his way back up into podium contention. He's got Joshua Spears, the number 84 machine, behind. And then Simply Steve, knowing that there's a little bit shy of 12 minutes left to go. I think that Ferrari driver, the 23, is going to be trying to make something magical happen. But now Dickinson with a clean air in front of the number 1 machine. Can he build up a little bit of a safety gap, I wonder? Simply Steve, this is where he seems to be strongest out of the hole. Hard on the acceleration. He's tucked in behind Spears, pulls up alongside the number 84, thinks better of it. Backs up the corner to try and get a big run here. On board with Simply Steve at number 23. He's 4/10ths back, heading up into Le Rouge, but he seems to be gaining it rather quickly. So now we get to see what the Ferrari can do in the draft. Closing it relatively quickly, but is he going to have enough time to hop out of line? He's going to lick the stamp and send it against Spears. Hard on the brakes. Steve back up into 4th. Too hard. Misses the mark. Spears will get back around. Steve may have to serve a slowdown penalty here. Dickinson has to be happy with that as he sits in 3rd. As that has slowed down both drivers behind him. Dickinson now 1.4 seconds up over 4th place Spears and 5th place Simply Steve. Up front, Nodovan, your race leader, has a 1 second gap over his teammate Bozak. Less than 10 minutes left to go in this crown jewel event. It's Nodovan, Bozak, Dickinson, 1, 2, 3. Spears and Steve run out the top 5. Hard Charger out on track, still AJ the 45. He's up 9 spots. A little bit of lap traffic ahead for Nodovan and Bozak. Oh, and that's a precarious moment. I think that was Yo Mega, I believe. And the 101 Ferrari pitching it away in front of the race leaders. Yes, it was. So poor Nodovan and Bozak come around the corner and see a smoke screen ahead of them. A little bit of a white knuckle moment for the top 2 drivers. And still, the battle for 3rd not yet decided. Dickinson, Spears, and Simply Steve separated by less than a second between the 3 of them here. Now we did get a report, Yo Mega in that 101 takes a tow back to pit road. So may have opted to call it quits here tonight. Dixon a half second up over Spears. Spears has about 9/10, it looks like, over Simply Steve, who may be falling back here slightly. I wonder if Steve might have burned up a little bit more fuel than he was anticipating. The field pretty spread out. Nodovan in a groove here. 1.1 seconds up over his teammate Bozak. Looked like a little bit of a mistake there from Spears is going to put him back within striking distance of Simply Steve. 6.5 minutes left to go here. The J2ICS Crown Jewel, sponsored by Designers Home Gallery. First and second, 35 seconds up over the rest of the field. And we're waiting to see what these top 5 drivers, how they're going to sort themselves out. Dickinson looking good for a comeback story here. The number 1 has fought his way all the way back up to 3rd. Looks like Spears, though, and Steve reeling in a little bit on Dickinson. Gained about 1/4 of a second against that number 1 machine. So, again, it's not over till it's over here, the J2ICS. We've seen a little late race problems. We've seen fuel numbers not quite right in the past, so definitely don't discount anybody until the checkered flag is out and everybody has crossed the line. Simply Steve, he qualified 5th, is currently running to 5th out on track. Everybody inside the top 6, it looks like, on a one-stop strategy here tonight. And it looks like everybody has double stinted the tires. The lap times haven't fallen off too badly, though. Most about everybody in the top 5 is just about 1 second off their fastest laps of the race or less. So everybody's running very consistently. Oh, a big mistake there from Spears. Here comes Steve. That's what we were talking about. One little mistake is all it takes. And Spears is once again within striking distance of our fastest Ferrari out on circuit, Simply Steve. Now, Long Island Nerd had to come back down pit road. That's his 4th time in his pit stall. If he's able to get back out on track and complete the race, though, that's still going to be 20 out of 22 starters to finish the Crown Jewel event. Not a bad night for the drivers. Spears has a big run here against Dickinson, closing the gap to within half a second. Simply Steve in the draft is going to follow suit. Less than 4 minutes left to go. That should be about 2 more laps before it's all said and done, but that could be a little bit of a skew as Nodovan and Bozak are so far ahead. Steve desperately wants to get back up into the podium. Surely has to be happy running 5th, but knowing that it's just so tantalizingly close in front of you has to be a bit frustrating for that 23 machine. Nodovan and Bozak cross the line. Doesn't look like the white flag is out. Also not sure if they're going to get the checker next time by. It's going to be interesting to see how that one breaks down. Just about 6/10 separating these top two drivers. They've definitely been the dominant team out on track here tonight. Now there was an incident just ahead of this 3-car freight train for third. Yo Mega involved in an incident in that final chicane. He's going to come back down pit road, not wanting to interfere with the drivers battling for position. Seems like Simply Steve really backing up the corner there to try and maximize the run he can get. Everybody stays nice and tidy in line. No, Simply Steve, again, too hard on the brakes. Cooks the rears. Oh, and I thought I just saw Bozak having issues as well. Now, I think at this point, Simply Steve, if he doesn't already have some sort of penalty with that final off track, I think he's going to put it in cruise control to avoid having a penalty here at the end, so that way he can still hold on to a top 5. I believe the white flag will be displayed for Nodovan this time by, so he's going to have to go one more here, with lap traffic still ahead of him. White flag is out here at Spa. It's Nodovan and Bozak first and second. They are 39 seconds up from third place Sean Dickinson. Joshua Spears, Simply Steve rounding out the top 5 as it stands. And I think with everybody spread out, I think it's just going to be clipping along, hitting their marks, and avoiding any last second penalty points. There's the traffic ahead of Nodovan and Bozak. Oh, a big blink once more. Nodovan ripping around, less than a half lap left to go here tonight. Now Nodovan, I believe, I'm going to get confirmation on this, he came into tonight as the hard charger, as well as the points leader, the 128. No longer a hard charger, he's up 5 spots, but he's looking to extend that points lead here tonight. The checkered flag is out here at Spa. Put your hands together, the undisputed king of aerodynamics. Nodovan picks up another win under the belt. Bozak will get second, and let's pan back and see if Dickinson is going to lock up that third place position. And I feel confident saying here, yes, Dickinson's going to grab the third place spot. As always, the J2ICS putting on a great show for the fans out there tonight. As we're going to get these top 3 drivers up here to victory lane and get the podium celebration started. So we're waiting to get these top 3 drivers up here to victory lane. And then we will get the podium interview shenanigans started. Looks like we've got Dickinson, we've got Nodovan. So we will start things off with Mr. Oh, we got problems there. There we go. We're going to get things started off with Mr. Sean Dickinson. Sean, a bit of a comeback story here tonight. It looked like things were going south from the beginning, but a lot of hard work, and you're able to get back up here in that final podium spot.
Yeah, I just looped it. Setup wasn't ideal, and I didn't have a lot of time to practice. I just got back from a trip today, so but yeah, I'm glad I was able to get up to third.
Yeah, and able to make it happen. Now, Sean, we know how much you loathe fuel saving. Did that kind of self-spin kind of ease the worries a little bit more and then kind of realize, hey, no, fuel saving is no longer an option anyway?
No, we had to save the entire race. We were really bored.
Well,
we had to run a lower map to go slow, and I have no idea how Nodovan and Bozak had that kind of pace.
Well, still, man, cool to see you overcome that adversity and make it up to the third. I knew it was going to be a good interview. I was so excited. But, Sean, super cool having you up here as always, man. Before I let you go and wind down, I know it's been a super long day for you. Who do you want to give a shout out to that helps make third possible for you?
Oh, yeah, just got to thank Josh. He spent some time doing some testing and all that while I was out of town. Thanks from my parents hosting me in New Mexico the last week. So just glad I was able to make it back safely. So,
well, we were glad as well, Sean. Welcome back. Good to have you up in the top 3, and hopefully the run continues for you.
Yep, have a good one, man.
You as well, sir. That was Sean Dickinson bringing it home. And third up next, we've got Mr. Bozak joined us in the second place spot. Bozak, looked like you and Nodovan were having entirely too much fun. Built up a massive gap over the rest of the field, and then seemed like it was just good, clean racing amongst teammates up there.
Yeah, we were doing our best to save fuel on the first stint, and by the second stint, he told me that our gloves were off, so I decided to follow suit. And yeah, we wanted to at least keep each other safe because he didn't want Netco to hit us or anything. So
yeah, it seemed like a good display of trust amongst you two guys, able to go side by side through a large portion of the track. I mean, good, clean racing, but still looked like it was tight enough to kind of keep things exciting after 2 hours of a little bit of follow the leader for the first hour and a half.
well, yeah, it was fun. It was how do I say this? Just thanks to him, we managed to keep each other clean. So a lot of the credit goes to him. And we were just constantly talking on how we were going to get through this. And yeah.
Well, Bozak, you guys put on a great show. A job well done, locking up the top 2 spots. Before I let you go and unwind from this one, who do you want to give a shout to that helped bring you home in second?
Oh, absolutely, my teammate. I mean, we worked together on that setup we made, and we were both working together at the spot 24, so that helped out a lot for our pace. And if my significant other is watching, I'd like to thank them. And that's about it.
Awesome. Bozak, always a pleasure, bud. Good to have you back up here, and hopefully we'll have you in the coming weeks as well.
Yeah, we'll see. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
And thanks for hosting.
That was Bozak bringing it home in second. But up next, the man, the myth, the undisputed Aero legend, Nodovan. Welcome back to the top spot, my friend.
Yeah, it's great to be here.
Now, It's there's been kind of a legend here at J2ICS, the zero wing, maximizing top speed, giving up a little bit of downforce. But I mean, it seems like tracks such as Spa and Le Mans, you've got the setups absolutely dialed, and you and your teammate Bozak able to check out from the rest of the field.
Yeah, it's just we've always ran low down first, and these tracks just really suit us. It'll be interesting to see what the rest of the season brings because they are a little bit more high down first focused, but it'll be interesting. But luckily, it's double points this race, so hopefully we can stay ahead in the teams.
Yeah, massive points for the Crown Jewel race, and it looked like you and Bozak were having a ton of fun, and we were kind of laughing during his interview saying that's a lot of trust to put the two cars that close to each other and risk a big incident. But, I mean, you guys were able to race very clean wheel to wheel, and it looks like a blast from our perspective up here.
Yeah. Well, we went into the race with two rules. The first stint, no, don't have any fun. Manage it. Make sure we have a gap. Once we hit that 20 seconds, we were like, okay, we can afford to have a little bit of fun. Team orders canceled. Just like make sure you don't hit each other and make sure we at least finish 1-2. That was the big priority, and then just leaving lots of space. That definitely helps a lot as well.
Well, you guys were able to make it happen. A clean sweep, a further extension of your points lead. So a great way, a great crown jewel for you and the team. And Donovan, you've got the privilege, the pleasure, the final send-offs of the night, my friend. Who do you want to give a shout to that helps make it happen here tonight?
To thank all the league admins. Hopefully, they don't give me a 10-second penalty. But yeah, they put up a great show, and I'm looking forward to their second half of the season.
Awesome. Donovan, always a pleasure. We couldn't do it without you racers out there. Congratulations on a massive win, and hopefully we'll have you back up here in the following weeks.
I hope so. Have a great day.
You as well. That was Donovan bringing it home in the top spot here. The Crown Jewel event, a very great win for the team. Donovan was accompanied by Bozak in second and Mr. Sean Dickinson rounding out the top three. On behalf of J2ICS and Designers Home Gallery, my name has been James East with Team Goon Squad Broadcasting. Thank you all so much for spending your Wednesday night with us, and I'll see you at the next one. Have a great night, everybody.